You're listening to the Womanpreneur podcast. Empowerment in business and life.
Hi, welcome to the Womanpreneur podcast. I'm Amanda McEwen. With me, as always, is Melissa Moats, the lovely and smiling and laughing Melissa Moats. Laughing because she just basically stared at me until I started talking. And because we just had a really fun moment right before this podcast started.
Yes.
Celebrating the success of others is always a good thing. So before we even start talking, I would say, tell somebody something good today. Just that you admire them, you respect them, good job. Just do something kind for somebody else today, because it makes us all feel so good.
Heck yeah. Give somebody a compliment. Tell them they're awesome. High five somebody. I just want to mention that right before we started rolling, Amanda McEwen high-fived me because we were celebrating our friend Brent.
We were celebrating Brent, and he asked a question, and she and I answered exactly the same in unison at the same moment, and I felt that it was worthy. Because, Melissa's hand went up, and I couldn't leave her hanging on that, which actually reminds me of the time that I was doing this job with Flavor Flav.
Oh.
And he just, we were kind of in a hurry. He was very late for a session, and we had another talent that was waiting to get into the booth to record. He's the guy with the clock. So yeah, he's from...
He should never be late.
Well, that's a very good point. Yes. So,
Sorry,
no, it's good. He's from Public Enemy, which I actually saw in concert when I was 11. So,
wow.
Side note, but because he was late, like he was doing the show, I think for MTV or something, and he went into the booth and our other people were waiting and we were on a time crunch. So I had to very politely ask him, can you hurry it along? Like, we need to get you out of here. And I said, because you're a pro, I'm sure you nailed it on the first take. And he stopped and he looked at me and he said, my name's not even Hammer, and I nailed it. And then he put his hand up for a high five. And it was just the best moment. Dude's super nice. He was very fun to work with.
That is a great line. I would like to use that in the future.
I think you have to ask Flavor Flav if you can use it.
I'm not
it could be copyrighted at this point.
And I nailed it. Whoosh.
Yep. So,
I love it. I'm working that out. I learned ghosting. I used that in a sentence in our last episode.
You did. We're all about the evolution here.
We are so cool.
Well, I don't know if we can go that far
in
yet.
my humble opinion.
There you go.
I was just going to say, you and I were womanpreneurs in stereo today for Brent Mukai. So I just want to say out loud, high five, Brent Mukai. Congrats on some of your recent bookings. He's killing it. He's booking for some big video games and some other things we can't say right now. But dude, we are super proud of you. So just saying.
And we're lucky to have you on our team.
Yeah, so lucky. Thank you for being with us. He's over there rocking his Aloha hat right now. Yeah, I love it. But so we're talking today about deferred gratification.
What does that mean, deferred gratification?
Well, it means that you don't get a result right this second. And I know we talk often about that we live in a microwave society. We live in a time where we're used to just being able to get a result on just about anything we want right now. But how does the Heinz ketchup commercial go? The best things come to those who wait. That's their...
I'm not familiar with that commercial.
My life is
but I don't have cable, so
my
my
life is a giant commercial. I know more taglines to more brands. I have them all memorized, but the best things do come to those who wait, because I think no matter what it is that you're working on, it could be weight loss. It could be building a business. It could be, I don't know. We'll think of many examples. That was just two solid ones.
Hey, sometimes you only need two examples.
Sometimes you just need one or two. But it's that journey of getting there and things unfolding,
It's initial sacrifice.
Yes.
So you get an even larger reward at the end.
Absolutely. I love that. That's a really good way to put it.
And I was thinking, and this is a silly example, but I'm going to start with this because I think it's relatable to most of us,
Sure.
no matter if you're a business owner or whatever, because I feel like almost all of us have been binge watched a TV show at some point.
Yes.
And so the deferred gratification, in a sense, it's I'm not going to watch the new episode every week. I'm going to let them pile up, and then I'm going to sit down and in a chunk of time, I'm going to be able to go from one episode to the next. No cliffhangers to leave me driving crazy. Leave me driving crazy?
I like it.
Driving me, I don't know what I meant,
I
but
liked what
I'm
you
sure
just
you
said.
meant.
Leave me driving crazy. I'm going to start. That's like maybe Flavor Flav says that. Maybe you could teach him that one.
Perhaps. but that is a thing, because sometimes like you're more invested in the show when you get to watch it, but then you have to, in that however many weeks that you don't watch it, you have to look out for the spoilers on social media, and you don't want it to be ruined. And, that in a sense, it's the kind of lighthearted version of deferred gratification, because you're putting off the reward of watching that 1 hour, but at the end you get this, this chunk of time that you just get to be engaged and, get through and stay focused on it.
Yeah, no, that's, or if you have to wait and watch it week by week in real time too, that also could be deferred gratification, because it's like you wait and you're looking forward to it every week, and then you have that special night. Like that's something that we do at our house. Troy and I have a couple of shows where we'll watch it every week. It's like a ritual, it's like it's a sacred thing. It's like what we're going to eat, what we're going to watch. It's like we sit down together. This is on cable. This is cable television. We're talking about Amanda McEwen's like, what is this you speak of?
No, I'm actually just very curious what shows are that important to you and Troy, because maybe we watch some of the same stuff and we've never talked about it.
Survivor.
Oh, I do know that.
So Survivor is one big one. We've been doing that for 20 years. That is a show that we watch together whenever it's on weekly. And then, man, we were counting down to the finale that was just on Wednesday, and we were so pumped. By
the time this airs, like we're probably into the new session. So,
yeah, right. Their new season. Yeah. And then also, we got Game of Thrones coming right up.
As of this recording, the series finale is 3 days from now.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
I think by the time this airs, it's going to be July. So it's old news at this point.
Yeah. So no spoilers here. I've been dreaming about dragons. I mean, I was even dreaming about Brent the other night, and I was
he
like,
a dragon?
No, he was not a dragon. But he got in a car accident, and I was like, hey, dude, maybe be careful out there. I was like, just saying.
My car battery died.
Really?
Yeah, like 2 days ago.
That's crazy.
But I prefer that to a car accident.
Yeah, me
Dead
too.
battery is much better.
But anyway, I've been dreaming about dragons. I've been dreaming about a lot of things.
Okay.
And we won't even go there.
Yeah,
but
I didn't want to steer the whole conversation that
no, I
direction.
love it.
Yeah.
But, little ritual at our house. But going back to deferred gratification, I think that, we read a lot of, blogs and articles, and there's a lot of good content out there about, when you're building a business or you have a goal or you have something you're working toward, some people suggest putting a time limit on it, setting a date, like I will accomplish this by this date. And I was recently reading something that I really liked, and it was Rachel Hollis. She's kind of a big deal right now, and I do really like her stuff a lot. She's the author of Girl, Stop Apologizing and Girl, Wash Your Face. How great are those titles? I love it. I'm going to wash my face, and I'm not going to apologize. I learned that from her. But basically what she's, real motivational speaker. She's real inspired by Tony Robbins and, a lot of other longtime motivators out there. But she says, setting a time frame on something isn't always the most practical way to approach something, because it's like, so what? You get to a point where you've put a bunch of time in, and it's the day that you set yourself, a goal to have something completed by, or you should be at a certain place, and you're not. What, you're just going to quit?
Right.
And some people really have that mentality. They're like, well, if I don't achieve this by this date, I'm just man, I'm throwing in the towel. I'm done. And to me, that's so unfair to do to yourself.
It sets up these incredible expectations,
Yeah.
and we don't know what life is going to do.
Yep.
Look at this podcast as a perfect example.
Yeah.
You and I worked on this for several months. You were trying to push me for a date, only because we had, at that point, we had our ducks in a row. We had recorded a few episodes. We wanted to get to a place to where, like I just mentioned, it's actually, we're in the middle of May recording this episode that won't be out until July. Because we worked, we wanted to make sure that we had enough episodes recorded so that if our schedules don't align 1 week or 2 weeks, which often happens, and we can't record, that we're not suddenly now in this panicked mode where we don't have any content and now it's stress. We wanted this to be fun and stress-free. And we crafted it over time, and we had goals,
right?
But we understood that they were flexible, and we got to a point, and we were both comfortable. It was the deferred gratification, because it would have been great to put it out there and all this hard work and these things that people were asking us. Well, when can we hear it? When can we see it? We had to be comfortable, and then we put it out there, and then we decided on a launch date, and then we didn't know how long it would take iTunes to an Apple Podcast to approve it.
Right.
So we had a launch date and we were all set for it. And I think we actually launched 2 days later because it took Apple a little bit longer to get back to us.
Yeah.
But, the gratification part of it was real, because then all of that, months of prep and figuring out what we're going to do and getting equipment and getting a website and learning how to post these things and what streaming it was and hosting
so
and
much.
picking Brent's brain about how do we do this technical stuff.
And figuring out even another couple of things, figuring out what camera to buy, figuring out what mics to buy, how to set up the set. Are we going to do it video? Are we going to do it audio? Are we going to do it both? But the reward of actually, for me, every week it's a reward.
Yeah.
Every Wednesday when a new one rolls out, I literally kind of get a little tickle in my tummy and I go, oh, it's Wednesday. I'm like, it's so cool.
Yeah.
One of our podcasts is rolling out today.
I get the notification from Apple Podcasts. It's like a new episode of the Womanpreneur podcast now available. But it is,
cool.
and because we deferred it, we are now at a point that we are not stressed out. We know that we're a couple months ahead. We're doing really good and in a comfortable place, so that we're not creating extra stress by putting those expectations that we couldn't, we built it until we knew that we were okay.
Yeah.
And it makes it more, now it's fun, because we don't want
fun.
this or anything that we do to cause more stress. That defeats the purpose.
We want it to be enjoyable. Like you said a couple weeks ago, you super look forward to our Friday, get-togethers and working on our podcast, because what I love about our podcast personally is I love the casualness of it, that you and I don't sit down and write out, all these major bullet points and all these major, neither one of us wanted it to feel like, a class, like we're teaching a lesson or something.
No lectures.
We're just sharing through wherever the conversation takes us. We have a theme. We have one idea that we want to run with during our episode, but wherever our conversation takes us organically, I think is great. And then, we know, because we've been told by lots of our listeners, that there's a lot of nice little nuggets in there for people who need different things. And it's rewarding for us, but we get to hang out and we're friends too. And we love to come here and enjoy this process. So I think there's a lot to be said for embracing the process and embracing the journey of something as you're working toward deferred gratification, getting that reward on the other side. Because, when you look back, once you've hit the goal, or once you've accomplished the thing that you set out to do, what you're going to look back on is you're going to look back on the challenges and the struggles and the things that you went through to grow. And that's where a lot of the beauty lives, is in that, man, I remember when I was, building my business and I was, broke, and I was in the moment. You might not feel that way. You're like, oh my gosh, that sucks, or whatever. But you might look back and go, man, I was hungry, I was tired, I was working so hard. And then you get to that point, and whatever the situation may be, but it just makes accomplishing that thing that you set out to do that much sweeter and that much more rewarding.
I used to tell people when I was 16, when I was working at my first job, my plan was I started working as early as I could. I worked as hard as I could. I deferred a lot of that teenager and college year fun, in quotes, that people my age were doing. I didn't do all of that. I worked really hard. And I always said, I'm going to work really hard now so I don't have to worry about this stuff when I get older. And I didn't set a date as to when older was, because older is very subjective. But I did, I stayed focused. I worked really hard. When I was in college, I was working a full-time job, a part-time job. I was going to school full-time. Wow. Yeah, I didn't take out loans. I paid my own way through everything. And that was very intentional because part of it, I say it all the time, I was born old. I was never really a young person. I've been an old lady my entire life. But
you're an old soul,
I'm
Amanda
an old
McEwen.
soul. It's true, and I love that.
Yeah.
But it's coming to fruition now, and it's everything that I said back then when people said I was crazy. And you need to live a little more and have more fun. Do you know how much fun I'm having in my life right now? And it might not seem that way because what I think is fun is different than what other people think is fun. But I'm comfortable and I'm not stressed out about, really anything.
Yeah.
And because I put all of the work in so that I could have this reward now, and I'm still planning on working for a long time. I'm not going to retire next year or anything, although, in theory, that sounds great.
Yeah.
But it's, being careful. I still have fun. And another part of the deferred gratification is, I think I was going to say graduation, but that wasn't right.
It's fine.
But, I am pretty frugal. I'm very frugal, throughout the week. I don't need a lot of things. I don't spend a lot of money for no reason. But the reward, the deferred gratification comes because then when I want to go on a trip and I want to go to Europe for 3 weeks and go explore the world, I can do that because I didn't spend the money on something that to me wouldn't be as meaningful, like, dinners out, or for everybody, it's a different thing. You have to know what it is that makes you happy.
Sure.
But, I don't spend a lot of money and I maybe don't buy as many things up front. And that's so I can go have an experience later.
Well, I was just going to say, it's not, I don't know. To me, it's like the way you describe it. I don't look at you and say, oh, wow, Amanda McEwen, she's so frugal. I think you save money. You don't spend money on some things that people would value, and say, oh, this is this important thing for me to spend my money on. For you, it's like you are all about the experiences. But when you go and do the experience, you really enjoy the experience. You're not, pinching pennies and whatever. You're literally like, hey, I'm here. I'm in the moment. I'm enjoying it. So I think for you, it's deferred gratification of just you're a planner and you think ahead, you forecast really well.
Right.
And I love that about you. And absolutely. And there are certain things that I spend money on and that I enjoy, I love I love decorating my home. And I work from home. I spend a lot of, time there. So for me, I really like my surroundings to look and feel a certain way. And some people, they don't really think decorating's that important. They don't really think. They're more about function. They're not necessarily about what color their walls are and what kind of comforters on their bed and what color their throw pillows are. And I'm obsessed with throw pillows and placemats.
Placemats.
Placemats is a big thing in my world. And but anyway, I digress. I just thought I'd throw that in there. But honestly, but with the whole deferred gratification thing, there's just a lot to be said about enjoying the ride there, and enjoying the journey there. And when you do set out, to make a goal for yourself, or you have a business that you're working on. One of my examples, I use a lot of voiceover examples just because that's such a big part of my life and my business. I work with a lot of up and coming voiceover actors and voiceover talent, and they just want to be able to have a career overnight.
Right.
And they don't want to do the work. They don't want to do what's required in between to build the skill set and to build the clients. They just want to wake up one morning and be able to basically have a full-time voiceover career.
Well, I've been auditioning for 2 weeks. I haven't landed anything, so I guess I better just give up.
Right.
I heard that recently.
Oh my gosh. And yeah, I mean, I always feel like one of my big jobs as a mentor is just talking people off the ledge, like every day. I mean, I get a lot of emails, you do too, through our studio, where people are just questioning their abilities or questioning, how long it's going to take. That's a big one when I'm doing an intro class, well, how long is it going to take before I'm ready to become a professional voice actor? I don't have a crystal ball. I can't tell you, and everybody's different. So it's one of those things where, that would be like me going to a personal trainer and saying, how long is it going to take before I have, rock hard abs and look like you, and have an amazing toned body? Well, there's going to be certain things I'm going to have to do and do them consistently to get a result. Like I'd have to give up cookies, which sucks.
Don't do that. Please don't do that, Melissa Moats. Unless you're giving the cookies up to me,
no, I'm
in
not
which
giving
case
up
we're
cookies.
okay.
I'd rather be a little squishy and have cookies, but it's fine.
That's so funny. Sorry. I had a moment, like I had a thing that I wanted to say, and then the squishy and cookies took over.
It took over.
So,
Do you want me to keep going and maybe it'll trigger? But
well, I mean, a lot of this, it just requires patience.
yes.
And it's the dangerous thing that happens with that impatience
Yes.
is just that it's people that want the instant results without doing the work. And there's so many people out there right now, and they're making these promises. Like, if you just follow my system, like you'll be making 7 figures in just 1 month. And it's like, okay, but that's not true.
Yeah.
And you have to be careful about marketing tactics where some people may be doing really great work because they're just going full force and putting all their time and energy and really making the strides. For some people, it takes longer.
Yeah.
If somebody's promising you 7-figure anything, just be a little cautious. You don't know if they made 7 figures. Maybe their 7-figure business means 7 figures over the course of 10 years. They're not usually clarifying, and it's that making it sound like, I'm the expert. I'm going to teach you how to be a millionaire.
Right.
And there are some people are legitimately that successful. So
Yeah.
it's just doing the research, and don't go after the get rich quick scheme or think that anything is just going to fall in your lap without doing the work. I think
Yeah.
we say that in most of the episodes.
Yeah.
But you have to do the work and stay focused, and consistency over whatever duration of time you need to till you get the result, and not just saying, well, if I tried this for 1 month and I didn't see any results, just give up.
Because results are happening. Just because you don't see them, they're compounding, they're happening. It's just, they're in process, It's like, think of a blade of grass growing, It's like it's right below the surface. Every day it's still growing. It's still coming. It's on its way up, And just because you keep walking back to see if some little grass has popped through and you don't see a blade of grass yet, doesn't mean it's not growing,
That's a really good analogy.
Thank you. That
Melissa.
just
I like
happened.
it.
Thank you. I don't know. My coffee just kicked in.
I know that happens because, when I first decided I was going to, offer coaching, consulting, mentoring, whatever you want to call it, it's hard to start letting people know that you have this new service and know how to explain it and all of that. And, you get the advice from everybody and it's like, okay, I got to do this. And it's very easy to think like, well, I'm putting all this time into these posts and these things and, nobody's paying attention, but they are paying attention. And what happened is like people came out of the woodwork, and I would get somebody that, out of what I felt was out of the blue, sent me an email. I'm like, I've been watching you for 1.5 years. And, I'm finally ready to start moving. Like, I want to do this. What are the steps? So it's like, you don't know. And I've talked, my friend who does a lot of coaching and stuff herself, Danny, she has told me stories about that where, she sometimes is like, I don't know if anybody's paying attention, and she'll get an email from somebody about how she changed their lives, and she just had no idea. So you don't know the impact of your work and your words and what you're saying. Like it's much bigger than what you can see most of the time.
I say often to, the talent I mentor, trust the process, trust the process and put a little faith in there. And if somebody's pressing me and saying, when, and am I going to be successful? Am I going to be successful? Am I going to be able to do this full time? You know what I say? It's not up to me. Mm-hmm. It's up to you. Yeah. It is not on me. Yeah. It's totally on you. It's like, I can share the tools. I can share what's worked for me. I can share a roadmap, if you would, but are you going to do more than just think about it? Are you going to actually take action? And I think that sometimes people confuse thinking and action. Mm-hmm. And just because you sit around and you think about something or you daydream about something, that is part of the process. That's like one of the very first steps is visualization and really thinking and seeing yourself, doing something. And it's a very important part of the process. But a lot of people, they just stay there. They just hang out. And they think that daydreaming about it and talking about it counts for a lot more than it actually does. And you have to actually, take the action to do the thing to get to that deferred gratification, to actually get to that end result of whatever it is.
And then ask yourself, are you really being honest with yourself? Because that's a big part of it. Did you take one class and then because you finished this class and then you did a couple of things that they mentioned and you didn't get, 12 new clients that month. And so it was a waste of time. And now you're throwing all that negative energy back out there. Like, well, I just wasted my time and money and this, I got ripped off, and you're spreading negativity. Yep. But did you do the work? Did you really commit yourself? You were saying you need to trust the process. And I think you also need to trust yourself and believe in yourself. Sure. But you have to be honest with yourself in that, are you really doing all of the steps?
I'm gonna quote my very smart friend. You ready? Uh-huh. Are you doing everything you can do? Huh. Have you done everything that you could possibly do?
Who's your smart friend?
Yeah, her name's Amanda McEwen.
Oh, she sounds like a genius.
She's pretty sharp girl. But it's true. It's like, are you doing it? Mm-hmm. Are you doing it? And you have to trust yourself to, you have to have that ability. I think especially if you want to be a business owner or have your own business, you have to have that ability to say, all right, am I going to really follow through? Mm-hmm. Am I really doing this? Am I really into this? Or what? Like, and if you know, it's like, maybe it's just going to be a hobby for you. Maybe it's something you're going to do every once in a while that you like, but are you really going to become a professional photographer? Well, what are you doing every day toward that goal? What are you actually doing? Not thinking about, but what action are you taking? What kind of energy are you putting into that business that you're wanting to grow every day, even if it's small, even if it's just half an hour, know?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Ooh, we're on fire today.
You got passionate about that. But it's difficult because, there are certain things that I know, I always feel like I need to put more money into, or more time into marketing my own business and doing all this stuff. And lately I've been, kind of in this place where I only have X amount of time to do that. Do I do it for myself or do I do it for the podcast? And I always choose the podcast because there's somebody else involved and that kind of holds you accountable a little bit more, but also because the podcast allows people to get to hear more of what I have to say. And then hopefully that means that they're going to work with me. So it's, but it's making a choice. But if I am being 100% honest with myself, do I have more time that I could be building social media posts and other things to be engaged? I absolutely do, because I just talked to the beginning of this episode. I like to binge watch TV shows. So sometimes I do that on a weekend.
Guilty as charged.
And, I do know that, but part of it is I don't want to do the social media, and I'm very aware of that. Yeah. So there are times when I need the weekend to not work. I need to refresh, and it's intentional. And there's times when it's just because I really don't want to do it as much as I know I need to. And we have to talk ourselves into it. And a lot of deferred gratification, you kind of have to play tricks on yourself. It's bargaining with yourself.
Yeah, you have to kind of level with yourself or make a little deal with yourself.
Because sometimes it might be like, okay, I have all this extra work to do. So maybe it's Friday and I am going to now work later than I normally would on a Friday. So then I don't have to think about it on Saturday. So, I'm going to put the hours in today or this week so I can, if you want to, sometimes I'll take a random trip for like a day or two. So it's like, okay, so I'm going to work on Sunday afternoon, spend the hours here so that I can enjoy Friday next week without having to, have work looming over my head. So it's not that I want to work at night or I want to work on the weekend, but it's okay, I'm going to defer my gratification. So I'm going to spend the extra time now so then I can enjoy the extra time that I'm creating for myself.
Absolutely.
Later.
Absolutely. No, I think that that's a really good way to paint the picture. And I know for me, it's like sometimes it's as simple as it's a silly little thing. And we've talked about it in past episodes, but I'll look forward to a really great cup of coffee or a little coffee break. I sit down with my husband and Troy and I just to get a half an hour just together uninterrupted. I'll say, okay, I'm going to push through. I'm going to knock out some of this admin stuff. That's maybe some of my least favorite stuff that I have to do. I'm going to get it done. I'm going to look at the numbers. I'm going to look at stuff and I'm going to do it. Amanda McEwen's going to be super proud of me that I did this thing. And then I'm going to take a coffee break, So sometimes it's little small rewards that you give yourself along the way, but they're huge because when you're a business owner too, you have to be disciplined. You have to be self-disciplined and there's no one there telling you what you have to do. And, it has to be done and when it has to be done, it's all on you at the end of the day. So if that's what it takes is to have some of these little rewards along the way, little mind games we play with ourselves, well, so be it.
Think about it, just as you're budgeting your time or you're budgeting your money or all of those things. It's really easy to look at it in the small picture.
Yeah.
I always go to the Starbucks example.
Yeah.
But you're going to spend $5 at Starbucks one day, and maybe that's over the week. So, it just evens your work week. So you're spending $25 a week getting your fancy latte or whatever at Starbucks. So $5 a day might not seem like that much. But what if you didn't spend that $5 a day and you put it aside? And then at the end of the month, you have $100 that you didn't spend. Could you buy something that's maybe more rewarding than a cup of coffee with $100?
Right.
And for a lot of us, we can't. You may really get enjoyment out of that latte, and then maybe that's not the right example for you, but in general, and it's just one example.
That is a good example, though.
Sure. Even with time, maybe you skip one show. Maybe it's like a 30-minute sitcom that you like, but maybe you don't watch it that day. You spend that 30 minutes instead, getting ahead on your work for the week. But maybe you do that every day for a week. And then by the end of the week, even the 5-day work week, you've got 2.5 extra hours that you could maybe go see that movie that you haven't had time for. You can go hang out with some friends or, there's so many things you could do, where you don't really feel the loss of 30 minutes in the day. Now, when I was younger, I fought to get a 10-hour work day out of when I was a teenager. And I said, at the time, because all my college classes were 2 days of the week and I worked the other 5, I never had a day for me at all. And I was wiped out. That was just one job, not even the other one.
Yeah.
I said, well, what about if I worked 4 10s instead? Because the extra 2 hours a day wasn't really a big deal. But to have a whole extra day off in the week when I didn't have work or school, that was hugely rewarding to me back then. It was giant. But when you don't notice, and it's the people that say, oh, I can't afford to save, or, even if it's a small amount that it's not really going to make a huge impact on you in the day-to-day or the week-to-week. But as that money accumulates and you see the balance in your bank account or your IRA or whatever it is, and it grows, and suddenly you're like, oh, okay, like that's my safety net. Like that is something, or that's my reward. I can go on that trip now, or I can buy that fancy car, or whatever it is.
And another interesting angle, just kind of along the same lines as you're describing, with money and stuff and time. It's no secret, we've talked in past episodes, I've struggled up and down quite a bit with my weight, and I've had times I've been heavier and lost a lot of weight and gained weight back, and it's been a struggle for me. But I feel like just in this last year and a half, I've gotten this really, really great understanding going on I lost about 35 pounds, and I've been able to really keep it off. And it's this whole same concept applies. So for me, it's what I'm eating every day. I'm looking at it like, you know what? I'm going to choose salads most of the time during the week, so that if on the weekend I want to have a little splurge or do whatever, I can.
You want to have that cookie finally?
I can have my cookie. Like I said, prefer to be slightly squishy versus rock hard. It's fine. But at least I feel like I look great in my jeans. Hey,
there you go.
Hey, feeling really proud of myself. But anyway, but the other thing too, I was thinking about not only just looking at like my, what I'm eating and ingesting calorically speaking, and being really mindful of what I'm eating every day. I go for a walk every day that is about a good hour. And I know, man, I'm walking like 3-4 miles every day. You compound that over a period of time, over, let's say 5 days a week or whatever, that's like 20 miles or whatever that I'm walking or more every week. And how many calories am I burning? How much stronger am I getting? The muscle that I'm building, Pilates classes I'm going to. It's like all of that is a deferred gratification of staying healthy. There's a lot of different things, healthy, more energy, weight loss, all of those things. But that same thought process applies. It doesn't happen overnight. There's no magic pill,
But it's your confidence is higher.
Yes.
Your overall feeling, like you might be sad in the moment that piece of cake is staring at you and you really want it and you say no. Like for a brief moment, you're probably going to be sad that you chose the salad.
If I'm doing a sacrifice, like if I have a result in mind that I'm going for sure.
But how long is that feeling going to stick with you?
Right.
Versus, okay, I didn't eat the cake that day or that day or that day, but you know what? I look good in my jeans today, and
I look good in my jeans every day now.
I know
I'm just saying. I feel really proud.
You're not thinking about all the cookies that you missed out on in your life. Like you're thinking, I feel good, I feel strong, I feel healthy. Your confidence is out there. I'm enjoying my life. That gratification is worth so much more. And this is coming from a dessert lover.
Yeah.
But it's really, I mean, the momentary thoughts of, I really want this cookie right now. I'm going to choose salad. I'm going to be sad because I'm eating salad,
Right.
But it's fleeting.
Yes.
The end reward of being consistent and making good choices and feeling good about yourself is worth so much more.
And I'm proud too, because it's like I finally feel like I have a really good understanding of like what works for me. I have a good system for what works for me. But what the whole overall for me gratification is, the end game for me is just being healthy, and feeling good. And definitely you want your clothes to fit nice. You want to feel confident and all that good stuff. But for me, it was just like being consistent, learning what I needed to do and learning how to be consistent every day to really create an end result, And so again, the deferred gratification.
And how many diets have you tried? It's that you don't have to actually answer in numbers.
Oh, gosh.
But had you given up at any point of this and said, well, this didn't work for me, so I guess I'm just going to be squishy forever.
Right.
Like you can't do that. Like it's, and it's, every single person is different. Your body and your health, your business, your beliefs, what makes you happy, all of these things are different. So what works for one person isn't going to work for somebody else, but you have to keep trying until, my issues with with chronic pain. I mean, it took me 17 years to find Pilates and one thing that really started helping me feel better.
Yeah.
And then like beyond that, it's been, more years. And then, thankfully CBD oil exists now and is the completely legal, non-psychoactive part.
Sure.
But other people who had similar pain issues swearing by it and them doing and me just being open-minded and think, well, okay, I'm going to try it. And then to see like how much my life has changed. I could have given up as a teenager and just said what the doctors told me, like, I'm going to be in pain my whole life. I'm just going to give up. And, that's not my way, and again, it took a lot of trying new things and getting frustrated and giving up a few times in the middle to just being like, okay, well, I've tried everything, but then something new came around. I hadn't tried that yet. What is it going to hurt me to try?
Absolutely.
And eventually you find the thing that works.
Yep. So it comes down to, I think with this whole, deferred gratification, I mean, no matter what it is you're working on, if it's a personal growth goal, if it's a business goal, I think keeping an open mind is huge. Mm-hmm. And, but you've got to be real with yourself on, are you doing the work? Are you being consistent with it and being realistic enough with a time frame? And you know what? Sometimes you got to change your goal date. Mm-hmm. It's like even me with like my weight loss example, it's like I can do a calculation like, okay, if I walk this many days and eat this many calories and I'm losing this many pounds a week, I should be at this weight by this date. I mean, literally, these are calculations I've laid on my couch eating ice cream that I have worked out, I'm like, as I'm eating my potato chips, let me figure out my weight loss strategies here. But the truth is, sometimes it took me longer, mm-hmm. when I've dealt with my weight loss goals or with becoming a professional voice actor. It's like, I'm a professional voice actor. I'm a full-time voice actor. I've been doing it for almost 20 years. And people are like, do you feel successful yet? And that's another thing. It's like, how do you measure your success? How do you know when you got there? And I think when you got there. For me, it's like, I think I've gotten there because I'm doing it every day, right. And I love it every day, and I'm happy every day when I get to do it. But I still have goals. I still have goals for my business and goals for my voiceover career. But I think when you're wanting to become successful at something, as you continue to grow and get better and reach certain goals that you make for yourself, all you do is you end up making new goals. Yeah. As you should, because I think we always want to be in a constant state of growth and self-betterment and all that stuff.
I hope so.
Yeah.
It's patience, like we talked about. It's forgiveness.
Yeah.
That, if you have to change a date or maybe you change the goal entirely, you have to, because,
course correction.
We sometimes start out thinking we want one thing and then we find out it's something else that really ignites us. And so it's okay. It's really easy to stay like, oh, well, I've already invested so much time and energy into this thing, but my heart's just not in it. So let it go.
Let it go. Yeah.
Move on to the thing that's going to excite you.
Bless it and release it.
And be, when you're being patient and you're being forgiving of yourself, also it's, that self-awareness and being mindful and believing in yourself and remembering that you deserve all the good things that you want.
You deserve all good things. And I think we need to be kind to ourselves because sometimes, man, we are hard on ourselves. I mean,
we are the hardest on ourselves than we are, than anybody else.
Yeah.
It's just a human nature, I think. But
I know it's a crazy thing. It's like sometimes the conversations that I've had in my head, I'm like, man, if I would never say this to someone else, Right. And I don't know. It's go easy on yourself as far as if you're doing something and it's not feeling right, if it's not working and stuff, you can course correct. One of the things we talked about on an earlier episode was, do all the things, like some people disagree with that. It's like the dilution effect where it's like, if you're doing all the things or trying all the things, you're not going to do anything because it's all diluted and blah, blah, blah. But you know what I think? I think do all the things, because doing all the things opens you up to trying so many things that you figure out what really is going to click for you and is going to take off. So that's a piece of advice I give to Abby, our 24-year-old, all the time. It's like, try it all, do it all, go for it, see what feels right, you know? And, you know, you can't find yourself until you throw yourself into all of those different potential possibilities out there. So
how else are you going to figure out what really makes you happy? And it can be a lot of different things.
yeah, you can think something is going to make you feel a certain way, but until you're actually doing it, you know, that's a totally different situation.
So, you know, and celebrate your own wins, even little tiny ones. Like if you accomplish one goal or one step of your goal, like give yourself credit for that. Like I'm not saying, you know, you don't have to have a giant ego and be boastful.
Right.
But even if it's just when you're by yourself and saying, you know what? Melissa just gave herself a high five. But it's just, you know what, saying to yourself, I did a good job. Like I am proud of myself.
Yeah.
And for me, that's number one, is like, I need to be proud of myself. Like I want you to be proud of me and Brent to be proud of me and everybody else too. Like in some,
we're proud of her, right?
Some psychological level, like I do want the acceptance from other people. But the most important thing is that I'm proud of me.
Yep.
And, you know, because I'm the one that's going to be with me my entire life. And I'm the one that I have to hear inside of my head all the time. Yep. So I have to do what's right for me. And, you know, sometimes it means sacrificing in the beginning so I can take advantage of all the rewards in the end.
Absolutely. And just know sometimes sacrifice is uncomfortable. And sacrifice means in the moment you feel like you are, you know, you're going to do without. It's like, well, man, like we said it before, you know, I'm not going to spend money on this because I want to do that later, or I'm not going to eat this cake right now because I want to lose weight or whatever, be in better shape or whatever. You just have to push through it and say, you know what? The reward on the other side is going to taste far sweeter.
Yeah. Or, you know, just a quick example, like what if, because there are times like, you know, maybe your friends are all going out to a show or there's something and you really want to go, but this client called and there's an emergency and they need you at that moment and you have to decide, do I not go to the fun thing or do I let my client down? And I'm not saying that there's a right or wrong choice in that matter, but what if you're there for the client and that solidifies a relationship that grows your business and they remember that you sacrificed for them. And then they tell other people. I mean, we talked about clients in our last episode, but just thinking about consequences in a different picture. And like, you know, my actions now, you know, how amplified could the results be?
Yeah, you have to be able to forecast. Again, it's like looking ahead and saying, okay, if I make this decision right now to do this, what's the result going to be in the moment? And then what's the long-term result that could come of it? And that's a really good example with, you know, going to do some fun thing with maybe friends versus an emergency situation popping up. And you know what? And maybe you can have the best of both worlds. Maybe you're late to the thing that you go to with your friends and there's a compromise in there. You know, it's like you take care of the client or you at least address the client and make them feel like the situation is under control or whatever. And you know, you tend to that in that moment, but then you're still able to do the fun thing. So there's some kind of win-win in there. And
it's so funny because just life is contradictory because I'm a big fan of being present and being in the moment and enjoying now and not worrying about all that stuff out there. So it's, again, every situation is different and you have to go with what your gut says. Sometimes you do need to not worry about all that other stuff and just be present and enjoy the moment you're in. And sometimes you need to think about the bigger picture and say,
you just feel it out. That's where instinct comes in.
Exactly. Trust your instinct.
Trust your instincts because they'll usually, well, always. Yeah. They'll usually guide you right. Just kidding. Sometimes. No, but honestly, if you listen to your gut, it's talking to you for a reason. So for sure, trust your gut in the moment and see where it takes you.
There you go. And have a cookie if you want a cookie, or put the cookie aside and, wait for the sweeter results.
Absolutely. Just depends on what your goals are. The main thing, take action, do it. And then the result will come.
Now she's frozen.
Like Mary Tyler Moore. You just throw up your hat and...
So, we've as some of these episodes have been released, we have realized that Melissa really likes the formal, proper wrap up ending. And this last episode, like, she did so good about just like ending and we're going. And this time we just hit a moment and I was like, oh, that's perfect. And then she froze. And so that's what this laughter is now, we now have it. We're good at our awkward endings. It's fine, so she can't even talk right now. Perfect. So thank you for watching, or thank you for listening.
Maybe find us on our website, thewomanpreneurpodcast.com.
There you go. You can see us in all of our awkward glory there.
Yes.
Thanks for tuning in.
Bye.
Thanks for tuning into the Womanpreneur Podcast. Until next time, you've got this.